we'll start with that. So from Hilo to Sweden, 2 sides of Germany, east and west, we come together. So now it's the training of the mind, turn within. So no matter your state of mind, active or dull or somewhere in between, just tune your attention inward. Let the energy settle. Honoring the different times of day. So those of us at the end of the day, just letting the impressions of the day sink into the body. And for those beginning the day, letting the plans of the day also just sink in. So that whether it's the past or the future, just let it settle and tune into the experience of now. And let's begin by deepening the breath. So again, this concept of tapas is fundamentally about bringing awareness and presence to what is habitual or thoughtless. The deepest, most profound tapas is pranayama. Breathing, we do 24 hours, 7 days a week, all the time. When we choose to slow the breath down, let it become deeper in the body, we are bringing deep attention and awareness to the habit of life. So just continue breathing. We'll just take a few more breaths. Each inhale a little deeper. Each exhale a little longer. And with practice, those of you who've worked with pranayama for extended time, as you sit in quiet and invite the breath to become deeper, creates a short-term impact. You might find a sleepy body wakes up, an agitated body can calm down. But over a period of time, coming back to the breath, you start to see the relationship between the quality of your breath and what's happening within your system. And then as you feel ready, we'll come to lying down on the mat. Move my computer here. There we go. Okay, so just noticing here lying on the floor. So we're going to start with a gentle Dvipada, this little bridge posture. So again, bring the hands wherever it feels most comfortable. And then bring the feet somewhat close together. And just lift up as high as feels comfortable for your back, neck, and shoulders. And exhale down. And up. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Finding the rhythm of your breath. Next time you come down, stay for a moment and just walk the feet a little bit wider apart. And then lift again. And just notice how it feels to shift the position of the feet a little bit. Doing the same gentle movement. So just an exploration of the feet and their position and how it impacts this movement. The next time you come down, take the feet a little wider, maybe as wide as the mat or so. And try the same thing. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Notice if all three positions feel pretty stable, or if one of the positions or more feel less stable. Notice how your knees feel. If there's any discomfort in the knees, maybe look at the position of the feet. Might need to bring them in or out a little bit. Otherwise, try all three foot positions. And then choose one of the three and just do a few more repetitions of the movement. So whichever felt most interesting to you. So feet close together has one effect, and feet further apart has a different effect. So just do a few more rounds with the feet, whatever position feels most interesting to you. So generally speaking, feet wider apart is a little less stable, so it requires a little more work in the hips and pelvis to keep the movement smooth, to keep the knees in the right position over the feet. And the feet close together generally inhibits some movement of the pelvis. Maybe you don't lift as high, but the knees can press close to each other, a little more stable. And then when you're ready, come down. We're just going to roll over. I'm going to bring my head forward here so I can face you guys. So just a little counter pose, Chakrabakasana. In this time too, we'll sort of break it into 3 parts. So instead of coming all the way back first, just do a couple times, maybe a quarter of the way back, and then all the way up, a quarter of the way back, and all the way up. And just remembering a little bit the other 2 sessions we've done, we had this sort of spiraling sensation in the arms. And we also had this awareness of chest forward, chest down. Then do a couple rounds, maybe 2/3 of the way back, halfway back, something like that. So a little further back, but not all the way. Just noticing how the back of the body feels as you move just a little further back, but not all the way. So just about 3 times at each position. And each round, do another 3 times, a little bit closer to the heels. So maybe 3 times back, but not all the way. Inhale up and exhale back. Remember to letting the elbows come down, the neck release, sort of melting into the posture. And then eventually just a couple of rounds all the way back. Good. And then we're going to come forward onto the belly. And this time, let's take the hands here out to the side. Hands are about even with your shoulders or so, elbows stay down. And before we move, so the legs are going to stay down, stay together. Before you actually lift, just imagine you are about to lift the head and chest away from the floor. So feel the muscles start to engage. Notice what happens in your back. Maybe feel like the head is just a little bit lighter on the floor. And then release. Let the weight of the shoulders, chest, head back to the floor. Take a breath in and just lift the weight a little bit, but still touching with the head and shoulders. And exhale, release down. So we're just sort of feeling the chain of muscles along the back of the body begin to engage and release. So we'll keep playing with this engage, release. So this time, just a few centimeters up, lift the head and chest, just barely away from the floor. Feel the back of the body engage and release all the way down. Inhale, just a couple centimeters off the floor. Feel what's lifting, what's working, and release. Same idea, just a couple centimeters and down. Now we'll come up like about halfway, so a few centimeters more, head and chest lift, and slowly release. Notice where you're feeling the muscles engage as you lift. With the legs, you can have the legs relaxed, or you can have them a little bit engaged, pressing the knees, ankles together. Each time, just about halfway and down. And then a little bit higher. Maybe what might feel like as high as you're going to comfortably come. And then down. Elbows stay on the floor, hands stay on the floor. So it's really just the chest and head lifting, and back down. Inhaling up. And back down. And up. And down. Let's do that about 3 more times. So this is a gentle waking up the back, the low back in particular, also mid back, maybe feeling the upper back a bit as well. Maybe this final breath, just stay for a breath or two. And come all the way down, pause for a moment. Relax the shoulders, head. You can turn the head to one side if that feels more comfortable. And then just as a gentle transition, come back to this hands and knees movement. So inhaling up, exhale, just about a third of the way down. Come back up. So just a couple times at each point, just working your way back. So this little relationship between engaging the back of the body and lengthening the back of the body. Step by step. So a remedy if we're feeling tightness in the back is this engaging the muscles, bringing blood flow, and then gently, gently lengthening that muscle with the heat and the warmth. Just slowly working your way all the way back. You can pause and rest for a moment. And then come forward once again. So again, you can take the hands here next to you, or if you have a different variation for your hands, feel free to engage. But this time we're going to involve the legs a little bit as well. So this time, as you inhale, you're going to lift the head and chest and just one leg, just a few centimeters up and then down. And then switch sides, so lift just a few centimeters up with the head, chest, and also the foot, and back down. Alternating sides. So just about two breaths
on each side at every level. So then come about halfway up, the foot comes a little higher and down. Head and chest halfway up and down. So one more round on each side, halfway up. And again, just noticing how the back activates a little differently at each level. And then maybe all the way up, head and chest. Extend the leg out behind you so you don't have to lift that leg very high. Just reach the toe behind you. Come down. Alternating sides. Nice and slowly. Then come down for a moment and rest. If you don't already, keep the knees and feet touching if you can. And just lift as high as you like. You can just lift a couple centimeters halfway up or all the way up. See if you can lift both feet, head and chest, and down. Both feet, head and chest, and down. And then take the feet a little bit wider apart, maybe 10 centimeters or so. And then inhale, head and chest and feet, and exhale down. Inhale and exhale. Some of us, including me, need a blanket under the pubic bone for this variation. And then next time you're down, feet a little bit wider, maybe almost as wide as the mat. Inhale up, exhale down. And then maybe even a little bit wider. So legs nice and wide, lift and lower. If you'd like, you can stay a little bit longer with whatever variation you like. Come down as you feel ready. And then just push back, childlike pose, pause for a moment. Let the back side of the body lengthen. And just feel the back. And then from here, we'll come to standing. Good. Pause a moment. Honoring the sun rising in Hilo. And getting ready to set over here. Same sun, same sky. One community of people. Your practice embraces the earth.
And then as you feel ready, whatever variation of arm movement you like, we're going to touch the floor and come back up. So I'm just going to do a very simple lifting, hands down, touch the floor. Whatever variation of arm movement you like, please feel free. Just honoring the sun above, the entire planet. And of course, gently engaging and lengthening through the body. Knees bend as much as you need to touch the floor. So the back of my legs are very, very open and easy. It's easy for me to touch the floor. If it's difficult for you to touch the floor with straight legs, bend them, bend them, bend them, bend them. If it feels comfortable to do so, please stay in this downward position. And then slowly come back up. And we'll step one leg forward. Again, samastiti with both feet. And just generally, we'll have a bit more awareness of this part of the body as we move into the posture. So we're going to move forward. Eventually, Spock will stop barking. As you move forward, make sure your back foot also has weight on it. So it's a moving forward and pushing the weight back. More like a front stance in karate. So just feeling those two movements, the weight moving back, the weight moving forward. Just feeling that in your legs. And then come back out of the posture. And now we're going to pay a little more attention with the upper body. So come into the posture. Stay there, nice strong legs. You can go deeper if you want to get it more, strengthen the legs, do it, but don't lose this two-directional forces. Let's take the hands, fist up, chest forward. Take a deep inhale here. As you exhale, push the palms of the hands away. Drop the chin. As you inhale, chin lifts up, arms back. Exhale, push. Don't lose the legs. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Hey, Spucky. Inhale. And exhale. Release the arms. Step the feet together and pause. Notice just difference between left and right. And with that same strength and awareness, step the other foot back. So first breath, just feeling that samastiti through both legs. Back foot carrying as much weight as the front foot. The knee is following. You should be able to see the toes or something in front of the knee in front of you.
Out of the posture. And then we'll come in again, pulling the hands in. Take a deep breath here. Exhale, push. Inhale, pull. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Release the posture. Step the feet together and pause. Good. Let's step the feet wide apart. And just gently, little Prasarita Padottanasana, hands come to the floor. So if there's some tightness in the back of the legs, you can use a chair, a stool, a bolster, something so the hands don't have to reach as far. And so the idea is to let the head drop, let the back of the body lengthen in a way that's comfortable and not stressing the legs or the back. Take a few breaths. And then we're going to walk the hands to one side and bend the knee on the side that you're moving towards. So the butt drops, the head comes down. This foot can stay flat on the floor for now. So both feet flat on the floor, head drops. Then we're going to inhale, walk the hands over to the other side. Drop the hip down, the buttocks down, head hangs down. And inhale to the other side. So this leg is bending nice and deeply. Each inhale, moving over to the other side. Exhale, stay there, drop the hips, drop the head. Each side. If you want to work the legs a little more, you can take the hands off the floor, hold the ankles, a little more balance. Otherwise, keep the hands on the floor to support and stabilize. Just moving back and forth with each inhale. And then eventually we can stay on one side just for a few breaths. This foot can stay flat down. If you like, you can also lift the toes up. This will work a little bit more lengthening behind the leg. Otherwise, with the foot down, you're feeling a bit more the inner thigh. After a few breaths there, second side, the foot can stay flat on the floor or you can lift it up. And then after that, you're going to come to the center with the legs straight again or engaged. Legs can be bent here as much as you need to. Bring the body towards the center. Pause here a moment. And then bring the hands to the knees. Pause here. Just a breath or two. And then nice and slowly walk the hands up. Good. And then we'll bring the legs apart one more time. We're just going to do a little bit of lateral stretching. So We're going to sort of work on the hip on both sides. So when we come back to the floor, we'll do a little bit there. But the hip is, of course, connected on the top as well. So you can think of lateral stretching as really something that is supportive of the hip and hip function itself. So we'll take the leg to one side and notice when, since I have colorful socks, it's easier to see today. So when I turn one leg out, the toe of this foot, if you line it up with the mat, is basically in almost alignment with the heel of this foot. So if you are sitting here and just turn rotating on the heel, then it requires the hips to be more open than normal human hips can go. My hips for sure. So if you bring the foot a little more forward, then the hips don't have to press as hard. You're less likely to get weird stresses in the knee. Good. And since we're here, let's just consider a little bit the pelvic lumbar relationship here. So as you stand here, think about, imagine your tailbone drops down, your pubic bone lifts up a little bit. This flattens a little bit the low back. You can use the abdominal muscles to engage and help lift the pubic bone. So this is just techniques for building awareness here. So you can let the pelvis move, lift up, and you can bring it forward. So just notice this postural relationship here. And what we like to do as we move into a side stretch is we want to try to keep the body a little more flat than we might normally do. And then we want to keep that flatness as we come down. So it's almost like I've done often in my classes. We'll do this kind of posture against the wall. And as you come down, your butt still touches the wall, your shoulder still touches the wall. The belly has to engage to keep the body flat. So you can imagine the wall behind you. And we'll do this piece by piece like we did before. So let's keep a hand here. Inhale the opposite arm up. And then we're just going to slide about halfway down the thigh and keep the arm over. And inhale up. And exhale just about halfway down the thigh. And inhale up. One more time. And inhale up. And then we'll come a little closer to the knee. Now 3 times, a little bit closer to the knee. And up. Come up and pause for a moment. So you can keep the knee bent just a little bit. You can bend it a lot, or you can almost straighten it. We're going to let the hands slide a little further down. So however you're holding this leg, just be aware of it. Inhale up. Exhale a little bit further down, maybe all the way to the knee or even further, and all the way up. And this exercise, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but the further down you come, the harder it is to talk because you're engaging the diaphragm to hold the body nice and long. After 3 rounds, come down. And then we'll stay for a few breaths, just 4 or 5 breaths. So we'll inhale the arm up, exhale down. You can keep the arms straight overhead if you like, or you can reach over a little bit more. Breathing. This back foot again still has some weight on it, so that foot is nice and flat on the floor. You might feel lengthening up through the hip, all the way to the shoulder, to the fingertips. Breathing nice and slowly. Coming all the way up. Let the arms come down. Pause a moment. Maybe even step the feet together for a moment just to feel. Notice if you're having a sensation of tightness in the low back when you do this posture. If you're feeling it tight in the low back, just come down and touch the floor, or hands or elbows to the knees. So I have a few students who are having some challenges sort of keeping this relationship in order when we do this posture. So one of the things that often happens, especially if the body's a bit tight and stretching feels tight, then one of the things that could happen is that the low back is arching a lot. So if you're feeling tightness in the low back, be aware of this lifting pubic bone, flattening the low back. So do the second side if you haven't already. Thank you, Catherine. So again, each side down. Step by step, eventually coming all the way down. Make sure you're keeping the belly engaged, keeping the low back relatively flat as you come down. Good. And then eventually stay here in this extended posture, keeping the weight on the back foot, lengthening through the arm. So one long line, fingertips to toes. And when you've done both sides, you can come on to hands and knees if you like, or you can stay standing and just let the back lengthen, release, and pause. And then from here, we'll come back to lying on the back. So I don't usually say left or right, but for this practice, let's start with the right leg. So we're going to take the right ankle and cross it over to the left leg. And then for this practice, we're just going to keep the shoulders close to the floor, so their arms wide, hands touching the floor. And then we're going to check the head, the neck, make sure it feels supported. You can use a blanket or a pillow under the neck if it needs the support. But here we want to try to keep the shoulders close to the floor even as we move. So hands down, and then we're just going to move the legs to one side. So first we're going to tip the legs towards the right side, so the knee that's bent moves towards the right side of the body. And if you get to a point where you start to feel like the left shoulder is lifting up, just keep the left shoulder, so you don't have to take the knees all the way to the right. Keep the left shoulder on the floor. And when you feel any kind of restriction, just stop there, breathe deeply. You don't have to focus on bringing the knee as close to the floor as possible. Just breathe in to the place where you feel restriction. Stay there, comfortable. Notice if there's other places you might feel restriction in the hips, of course. But for some of us with tighter shoulders, it might be that the shoulder is the place where you first notice the restriction. And then after a couple breaths with the knee and the body tipped to the right side, we're going to come back to the center. And we'll do the same thing, but on the opposite side. So now the foot comes down towards the left side. This one you might feel more restriction in the hip on the right side, but again, use the shoulder as the indicator. If the shoulder feels comfortable, if there's no tension through the chest or across the body, bring the foot all the way down. Otherwise, stop wherever you feel the restriction, the lifting of the shoulder begins, and just breathe deeply wherever you feel any restriction or tightness in the body. Breathing here. And then slowly come back to the center. Release that right foot. Pause for a moment. And we're going to stay on the right side. So this time we'll let the left foot extend out on the floor. Keep both sides of the hips, the pelvis, the buttocks on the floor. And if you need some support here, have a cushion or a bolster or something ready. So we're going to open the right knee to the right side. The left leg is going to stay on the floor. Both butt cheeks stay on the floor. The iliac crest here, these pointy bones on the hips, are both pointed up towards the ceiling. And now we're just going to open the right leg to the right side. And here you want to make sure that the hips stay flat. The pillow is just to support the posture. So if your hips don't open all the way, which is normal range of motion for a human hip, you have some support so that your body doesn't want to tip to one side. So now the leg is out. You can take the right hand sort of behind the knee. And all we're going to do in this position is just extend the foot, extend the leg. So supporting the knee, keeping both shoulders on the floor. You're going to inhale, extend the leg. Exhale, bend the knee. And you can adjust this as you go. Each time you exhale and bend, you can bring the knee a little closer towards your shoulder, or you can just keep it where it is. And again, supporting the knee here with a cushion or bolster, unless your hips are very, very open, and then your hips might come to the floor. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, extend, extend, extend. Exhale. So this is a lengthening of the inner leg, so what we call the adductors, and lengthening behind the leg. And eventually we'll stay with the leg extended. And on an exhale, we'll lift the foot with the straight leg all the way up and inhale all the way down. And of course, if this is too much, if it's too much stress on the muscles, bend the knee, makes the leg a little bit lighter. And come up on exhale and inhale, open out to the side and exhale up. Inhale, open. And then from here, we're just going to lift the leg about 2 centimeters and then release it down. So 2 centimeters up, 2 centimeters down. Just a few rounds. The foot can stay in the same position it was. And just notice how much freedom you have to move the leg, or if it feels like the leg isn't going to lift at all. So you can just use your imagination if that's the case. And then you can change the position of the foot. You can point the toes up a little bit, and that engages a different set of muscles running parallel to the ones that you were just using. You might find you have a little bit of weakness or even more strength in this set of muscles. A few times lifting and lowering. And then you can also rotate the toes downward, engaging a little bit more the chain of muscles running behind the leg. And again, notice if there's increased strength or decreased strength as you shift the position of the foot here. And then whenever you're ready, you can release the leg, stretch out both legs on the floor for a minute and just feel the body. And then when you're ready, we'll try the second side. So we know we're going to need our bolster there, but first Bend both feet, cross the left ankle over the right knee. Set your shoulders up, support the head as it needs to. And then again, we're going to first move to the left side now. So that left knee will come down towards the left side. And again, wherever you feel restriction, don't need to push through it. Just hold it there and find a deep breath. Notice if the deep breath impacts the movement or your mobility. The goal is not to go as far down as possible. The goal is to feel, to breathe, to open. And then after a few breaths there, we're going to come over to the right side now. So more of a twisting. You might feel the resistance more in the hip than in the shoulders. Wherever you are, breathing, opening, expanding. And then come back to the center, release the left leg, extend the right leg to the floor. Get your support ready, bolster or cushion as you need it for the left knee now. So lift the left leg up and then open out to the left side. Make sure the hips flat on the floor, both shoulders on the floor. You can hold on behind the left knee, and each inhale, extend the left foot, and exhale, bend the knee. Since this is the second side, take some attention to notice if and how it's different than the first side. This is information to use, particularly if you have some discomfort or dysfunction in the body that you'd like to work with. Sometimes asymmetries can help guide us. Eventually stay with the leg extended and exhale the foot all the way up and inhale all the way out to the side. Again, bending the knee if the straight leg is too much. We want to control the whole movement, exhaling up and inhaling open. And then we'll open that leg out and bring it down to the cushion, to the support. And then once you extend the leg, we'll do those micro lifts. So just about 2 centimeters up and down if possible. If your body says nope, then just imagine, feel the muscles engage and release. Again, you can keep the foot in the same position here a few times. And then after a few lifts, you can begin to play with the position of the foot. So noticing if you change the position of the foot, does that increase or decrease strength in the lifting? Or does it feel very similar? Notice even for some of us on the knee as we move the foot into different positions, how that impacts our knee, but also the hip, of course. When you complete, release. And then just to compensate here, so we did a lot of work here on the inner leg, so the adductors. We're going to find the abductors, the external moving hip muscles. So lie on the side, support the head so the shoulder doesn't feel too compressed. So one shoulder is over the other, one hip is over the other. And you can imagine here a line straight from the shoulders to the hips to the feet. So the knees are on top of each other, the feet are on top of each other. And then you want to stop the hips from rolling backwards as you lift. So you don't want to engage the larger muscles. So we inhibit the hip from rolling, lift the knee, and let it come back down. So inhale, lift, exhale, release. And so since this is a very focused movement on a very small set of muscles, we can do larger repetitions. So more like 10 to 15 times instead of 4 to 5 times that we do on some of the bigger movements. So lifting, releasing. You can move with your breath, or you can let the breath just flow deeply as you flutter this leg up and down. So really imagine a wall behind you, just lifting the knee as high as you can before the hips want to roll back. And you'll start to feel these muscles warming up, heating up. You don't want to make it burn too much. So for me, the end point is once I feel these muscles activated and warm. And when you get to that point, just rest. Let the knees come together, the muscles relax. And then if we want to engage the larger muscles, we can either lift the foot up with the leg. So now you're getting up into larger muscles in the hip. Or if you have the strength, you can straighten the leg and inhale, lift the leg up, and exhale, bring it down. So again, keeping that line from the shoulders through the hips to the foot, one long line. And just like we did in that open hip opening movement when we were lying on the back, you can also change the direction of the foot, and it'll engage just slightly different sets of muscles. And you can also create a lengthening through the hip just by bringing the foot all the way to the floor. So it's like a mini lateral focused on the hips. So inhaling up and exhaling down, foot at whatever angle feels interesting. And again, just doing the movement long enough to feel warming of the muscles in this set of supporting muscles in the hip, muscles that help control our balance, stabilize the pelvis. Inhaling up, exhaling down. And of course, when you complete, just pause, let the muscles rest. And for you at home, you can just roll over to one side. I'll rotate myself around so I'm still facing the screen so I can still see you guys. And again, supporting the head so the shoulder doesn't get compressed. Hips one above the other, shoulders one above the other, feet in line from the shoulders to the hips to the feet. And then once you feel set, just make sure to be attentive to this hip. Make sure it stays where it is. Lift the knee higher and down. And again, since it's the second side, just be aware of any differences. For me, for example, I noticed this side, there's more mobility. I have more range of motion in this side. My other hip is a bit weaker, and there's just more freedom of movement here. So just notice if there's any differences. And again, 10 to 15 sets. When Lota taught this to me the first time, I used to do this exercise daily with my spiral breathing, so with mantra. And that was usually one round was enough to really wake up and work these muscles that are really important for supporting particularly the low back, the iliosacral joint. Just keep moving, looking for that warming of those small muscles, stabilizing muscles in the hip. And when you feel that warmth, just let the legs rest and pause. And then we can move into the larger set of muscles by either lifting the foot with the leg, so a larger range of motion, or extend the foot out, inhale up, exhale down. And again, if you bring the foot all the way to the floor, you get a little bit of lengthening through that upper hip, like a little mini lateral. First two rounds, just keep the foot in sort of a neutral position, and then if you want to play with the foot position, you can do that, toes up, toes down. Just being attentive, feeling the experience of your body. And again, going with the sensation of your own body, playing with variations. But when you feel that you've done enough, just bring the knees back together and rest for a moment. Otherwise, explore a little further.
And then from here, we're going to slowly come on to the back. So just gentle counter pose. We'll pull in one leg, one knee, extend the other leg away from you. So sort of asymmetrically stretching the low back, maybe the hip. So just take a little time there, holding your knee in towards your body. And then reverse, so other leg stretches out, pulling the opposite knee towards you, lengthening one side. And then both hands on both knees, a little bit of Apanasana, moving side to side, or exhale, bring the knees towards you. Inhale, move away. Just gently feeling the low back lengthening as you pull the knees towards you. Inhaling up, exhale down. And then we'll bring the feet back to the floor. A little bit of that bridge pose, Dvipadipita. So at the beginning, we did this posture with different positions of the feet, so either close together or wider apart. Feel free to choose whatever foot position felt most interesting when we did it that way. And then inhaling, lift up, lengthening the front of the body. Exhale, slowly coming down, feeling the vertebra release one piece at a time. So inhaling here, lengthen the front of the body, particularly the front of the hips, if that's possible. Otherwise, just coming in and out, symmetric, gentle movement. And then again, working with opposing muscles, we want to come back to the inner legs, the adductors. So the movement where we open on inhale, the knees come apart, and exhale, the knees come back together. But we're going to add some details here. So we're going to inhale the knees apart, and exhale, come up halfway. Stay here, inhale. And then exhale all the way together. So it's exhaling in, bringing the knees together in two parts. So we'll do that again. Inhale all the way down. Exhale halfway up. Stay there, inhale. And exhale, knees come all the way together. And so then we're going to add a little bit more. With each round, we'll add a little bit longer coming together. And we'll do 2 rounds. So this time we'll exhale 1/3 of the way up. Stay there, inhale. Exhale 2/3 of the way up. Stay there, inhale. And exhale, the knees come all the way together. So we'll do that again. Inhale, knees come all the way apart. Exhale 1/3 of the way. Stay, inhale. Exhale 2/3 of the way. Stay there, inhale. Exhale all the way together. Now 4 times. So inhale, knees come all the way apart. Now 1/4 steps. Exhale 1/4 of the way. Stay there, inhale. 2/4 of the way. Stay there, inhale.
Exhale 3/4. Inhale. And exhale all the way together. So again, do that 4 times coming up. So inhale all the way, exhale 1/4, stay, inhale, 2/4, stay, inhale, 3/4, stay, inhale, exhale, knees all the way together. Then 5 times now, inhale, knees apart, exhale 1/5, stay, inhale. Exhale 2/5. Stay, inhale. Exhale 3/5. Stay, inhale. Exhale 4/5. Stay, inhale. Exhale, knees all the way together. Last round, same way. Inhale, knees all the way apart. Exhale 1/5. Inhale there. Exhale 2/5. Inhale there. Exhale 3/5. Inhale there. Exhale 4/5. Inhale there. Exhale all the way together. And then from here, if you like, you can let the knees open to the side. Stay there if that feels good. If you've done enough, stretch the legs out, let them rest. For those of you who hate fractions, I apologize for that little bit. But from here, we're going to move towards resting. So if you need any little movements, neck, shoulders, back, body, feel free to take it. But from here, we're going to move to some form of resting in Shavasana as you feel ready. So give your body some time to rest. Take a few moments and just notice how you feel. Take a moment to notice what parts of your body feel activated, what feels energized, what feels relaxed. And then slowly let your body rest. Let your mind settle. And just stay in this quiet space.
And as you rest, just hear for a moment these beautiful words of Heifetz. Sometimes I forget that I was created for joy. My mind is too busy, my heart too heavy for me to remember that I've been called to dance the sacred dance of life. I was created to smile, to love, to be uplifted, and to lift up others. Please untangle my feet from all that ensnares me. Free my soul that we might dance, and that our dancing may inspire the world. And as we speak of joy from this ancient poet to a more modern Victorian poet in the German tradition of Rilke, who said that joy is unspeakably more than happiness. Happiness washes over us. It is granted by the fates. It is a result of our circumstance. Joy, on the other hand, blossoms from within. Joy is springtime of the heart, and it is the most extraordinary gift we have in our power. So, with this little spark of joy, or at least the idea of it, bring your attention back to this moment. Feel the body, the breath moving through it. And as you feel ready, come to sitting. And an even more ancient source of Patanjali on this concept of joy, Sutra 133. Sanskrit is beautiful, one of the mantras I connect with often. Maitri karuna mudito pekshanam sukha dukkha punya punya vishayanam pavanataha chitta prasadanam. And it invites us to have a friendliness towards hearts that are filled with peace, to have compassion towards hearts that suffer, to celebrate right actions, to celebrate positive actions in the world, and to remain rooted in ourselves when we see actions that are not meritorious, that are in conflict with our values. So joy is something we allow ourselves to feel when things are right, when things are in alignment with what we value. Joy arises from that. And keeping these qualities in mind, is one practice to keep our heart open and our mind relaxed so that we may see reality as it is and respond appropriately. So, palms of the hands together. Any peace that we may find, any joy that may be born within us, may we offer it out to all beings everywhere. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Thank you for being present, for letting this gathering be a part of your tapas this part of the year. Thank you.